Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon, and welcome to another very interesting session of the Unfiltered Chat. My name is Shreyasi Chatterjee, your host for today. As you have read from the title itself, that it's today we have the topic of effective communication. So we have all heard about the saying that communication is the key, and today our discussion will be revolving around it. And also we'll see how communication is important in customer relationship and business development. Customer service is a very crucial element of any company's strategy, business development, you name it, and the customer service element is there. And it is also one of the most important contact points with customers, and it's a key opportunity to create a positive experience for them. So, how communications play a pivotal role in customer satisfaction and strengthening the relationships we have with our customers. So get to like I don't know much about it definitely. So we have somebody who will be talking about it and who has an immense amount of knowledge in the field. To get a detailed insight on this topic, so let's hear it from the guest of honor today, Mr. Sougata Mitra, the Chief Strategy and Growth Officer at Workmates Core2Cloud. So please, everybody, let's join our hands and welcome Mr. Mitra today.
Very good afternoon, everybody.
Very good afternoon, Mr. Mitra. So nice to speak to you. So nice you could make so much of time for us and join us on the live session today. How are you
Yes,
today?
ma'am. I'm good. It's my pleasure to be speaking with you all.
Same over here. Same over here. So I was just mentioning our audience. We have a few audience over here on board today, and they are hearing us live. So I was just mentioning that how communication is playing such an important role in every aspect of business. So we want to hear more from you today, and we'll be having some questions from our end. And just to start with, like I have heard so much about you, and I have also heard about that you have experience in multiple domains like key account management, operations, business development, team management, and obviously strategy and everything. So please share some insights with us, like how into your early life you've laid the foundation of your career journey.
So, this career journey has been almost 3 decades long now. It's almost 26 years. Half of, I think, the audience would have not been born when I started my career. So, I started my career in 1997, and it has not been, I would say, something which had been taught in our colleges. So, I belong from NIT Durgapur. After passing out,
Oh,
consciously, most of the people, while they were working into various technical fields, I chose to work in my career into sales. So, in various aspects and various milestones in my career, there were elements which have actually built up this momentum now to be, let's say, a little bit of veteran in this industry with about 27 years in sales, business development, key account management. But in the earlier part of my career, most of you would have not known, we didn't have internet, obviously, in 97. We did not have, effective way of communicating with the customers. Email was new. Email was there with only very privileged people. So whenever we used to submit proposals, we used to take a printout or type it on our typing machines and then take it to our customers. So, and even in fact, in the earlier part of our career, there were no virtual calls, there were very less phone calls. And every day, over a period of the first 8 to 10 years of my career, every day we made it a point that I meet at least 7 to 8 customers every day, 7 to 8 people physically. So what we used to do is that take our computer in our bike, and we used to have those large monitors which we used to take it on our back seat, take the CPU on our side kicks, and then we used to go to customers to show demo of our various applications. At one point, when in my start of my career, I was working with an organization called Volta India Limited, So at that point of time, selling PCs were itself a solution. I used to sell CAD/CAM GIS software. Now people used to think about software as a was a freeware which used to come along with the hardware. It was a notion, and it was not an incorrect notion because most of the softwares were available pirated at that part of. In the earlier part of my career, to sell value to the customer, it used to take a lot of research to be done on the customer. You had to create your PPTs, you had to create your proposals. We used to write down on a slide thing and then show it to our customers on the value propositions. And instead of only working on the specifications, we used to work on to what value it brings to the customer. So the effective communication that was built on and imbibed into my DNA from very earlier part of my career. Yeah, sure.
Sorry. Okay, I think there was some technical glitch. Okay. Yeah. So that's definitely, I mean, like, it has, I mean, you have seen the entire transition. That is like really, really impressive. That is very few people actually get to, experience it. It's so nice. And it was so nice to actually hear it from the very beginning. So I also get to hear that you have a degree in chemical engineering, which is really impressive in itself. So what has prompted you into, from chemical engineering to the IT industry? What prompted the transition?
So let me take a little bit back. In 1996, I had a summer training for a couple of months with Indian Oil Haldia. So, as being a chemical engineer, it's a dream for everyone to work in a petrochemical or in a chemical plant, right?
Right.
So, but when I went over there, when we used to learn and see whatever practical things which are happening over there, we had an impression that most of the people would be working very physically inside the plant and would be taking out the chemicals, the petrochemical products, the petroleum, diesel, etc. But what struck me over there was there was so much automation over there, right? Way back in 1997, I remember Siemens and Nixdorf machines over there, which were controlling the entire plant, and there were hardly anybody on the plant floor. On the shop floor, there were not many people onto it. So when I queried with the head of the production over there, he said that for the last couple of years the whole gamut of technology has changed. While we were focusing on to yeah, basically onto production, this automation has really brought into that, and that was possible only through network computers, applications, and softwares which were available at that point of time too. So that struck me. So that made me very clear that in my career, I would be working only with software companies and the hardware companies which are there, and to provide solutions to the customer instead of going to a plant. So that opened my eyes, and that's how imbibed into getting me into the IT field. In fact,
Wow.
I did
That's
not sit. In fact, I did not sit in any of the chemical engineering placement. You think I went straight to Rolta India Limited's placement talk, where they said that okay, we are offering sales position into software selling, and I gave it my best shot, and that's how my career started.
wow. So you basically wanted to get to the core, not
Correct,
on the outer path. That's nice.
correct, correct.
So I want to ask that please describe the key milestones in your career up to date, that which made you feel that yes, you made a point, and also the moments that led to your current role as the strategy and growth manager.
Okay, so there are four or five elements onto it. Now, to become to work into multiple environment, I took the jump of moving on from various. I took keen interest in technology while I was doing sales. Obviously, when you want to have a happy customer, you also need to understand delivery, and you also need to have effective customer communication. So marketing was also an activity which already interested me. Now, in my earlier part of my career, sorry, When I was working with an organization called ESRI India in the fifth year of my career, I got a responsibility of leading a region, which was a very important role. And my counterparts were at least about 10 years elder to me. Now I was thrown upon that challenge that being a young salesperson, would you be able to lead a team? And it was not a cakewalk. Obviously, people had their own kind of way of working, and with the customers bombarding expectations. When you are just a simple sales guy, there is an expectation, but when you become a team manager, those expectations really rocket high. Now that was the first twist with the A. When I moved to an organization called SAP, where I worked for about 3 years there I could understand what is the importance of customer interaction and partnership. Now, because SAP used to bring solutions, but implementations were done by the partners like TCS, Wipro, etc. So that brought the flavor of partnership in the role. Very recently, I used to lead the SAP practice in Tech Mahindra for about 3 years, which was based in Europe. And in that point of time, I got the exposure of working with a, what we say, as the what we say, multi-country, multicultural environment which was there. Now, combining all these current thing which I drive the entire strategy and the growth of the organization, all these experiences for last 2.5 decades have really helped me to get into this role.
Okay. So, also definitely it is a very, inspiring journey, and I believe that there is a lot of success which came your way. But of course, along with success, there were definitely a lot of challenges that you face. I mean, you faced during the transition from the chemical engineering to IT, from being a salesperson to being a strategy person, like the entire leading a role team and everything. So, what inspired you to overcome all of these?
See, one of the most important factor for anybody's career is to get a good mentor. Now,
Correct.
mentors will not come to you naturally, right? Now, mentorship is something which you have to fall back upon. Now, I had the privilege of having some of the very good mentors. People, they have now retired. Jayant Bawa was one of them, or Abhijit Laha. Now, all of these gentlemen, whatever problem I used to have, I used to effectively go back to them and ask about solution to the problem. Now, this is something which I have also tried to imbibe into my team also. Now, in my team, I try to create what I would say, a transparent environment where failures are also not, failures are also accepted the same way as how the wins are also celebrated. Now, that is a culture which has been imbibed, I think, in the late 2000s. The culture which was there in the IT industry had imbibed into that. And see, roadblocks would be there. There would be customers who were very difficult customers in my career, and they used to, make our life absolutely pathetic at times. But only thing which used to only go is that you create an empathy with the customer slowly and steadily, the customer becomes your friend. So, roadblocks obviously then start moving away. And when you have good mentors inside your organization, they will also ensure that there are roadblocks which are coming from the upper or from the lower strata of the organization gets removed away.
That is very true. I totally agree with you on this. So going to the business development part. So how do you define effective communication? We all talk that we always use this phrase effective communication. But how do you define effective communication, especially in the context of a customer relationship?
See, I think there are few elements to it, and it's not very easy to articulate it so easily into it. But I'll say some of the practices which I follow is that one is the very effective way of which is called as an active listening, which is very important for a custom, which is very important for a person, even in your personal life. Even if you practice that, the person who is in front of you, if you are really interested to resolve their issues, you need to have a very good ears to there. Until unless you hear it, you will not be able to solve it from your ear. Second thing is obviously you require a lot of empathy towards your customer. Your customers are coming with your problems. If you do not realize what is the problem with the customer and what is the outcome, if you do not help them at this point of time, you will certainly lose your customers in the longer run. Third thing is that, which is very important, and it's also there in your personal life, people love to have prompt responses, right? If you come with a customer, you need to respond quickly to a customer. It is not that you have a meeting and you send a minutes of meeting and you have a solution offhand. But even if you are working onto a particular solution, it is very important for us to communicate with the customer, telling that this is something which we are working upon it, and it will take so much upon time. However, give us a little bit more leeway so that we are able to come onto the kind of an Another thing is that I've seen a lot of my colleagues and a lot of my juniors use a lot of jargon, you know, for, uh, for jargons which are there in technology jargons. Most of the customers do not understand these jargons, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You have to be very careful about the words you choose. The moment you start using difficult jargons, difficult technologies in your communication as a BD guy, you are actually pushing your customers back. So these are some of the things. Another pretty important factor which Shreyashi, I think which I think is that one need to exude lot, from your body language, a lot of confidence which is there, right? In any kind of a customer communication, whether you're having it in front of them or you're writing any of the mail, your mail or your communication should exude a lot of confidence that you are on top of it, and basically you would be able to resolve their issues. So that comfort should only come only if you're confident. If you create an aura of, let's say, something which is confusing, you try to beat around the bush, you say that we are trying it around and all this, these, in your personal life, in your professional life, you will never be very concise, be very positive, and exude confidence. That's the main mantra for it.
Wow, that's so like beautifully and precisely set points, honestly. Like I would definitely try to imbibe those in my life, and I'm sure people who are listening us would be also trying to imbibe these points in their life and career as well. I would like to take up one comment. We have a viewer, Shomadeep Mondal. Thank you, Shomadeep, for the question. So Shomdeep is asking that as a strategy and growth officer, what strategies do you find the most effective for business development in the competitive IT landscape?
So these are very simple things, right? These are very simple things in your life where you go with the customer. First is that never forget a customer. The moment they give you business, we as a sales people or the business development people, we have a tendency to hand it over to a delivery guy, and we tend to forget it. You need to go back to the customer every time and regularly, which is there, because you need repeat business, right? The customer will give you repeat business only if you are in constant touch with the customer. It's a natural, and I don't blame the salespeople and the BD people to jump onto one customer to the another customer because they have their own sales numbers to meet, etc. But devote 25% of your time daily to at least get in touch, even of a hi, hello, or even a WhatsApp communication about how's the weather, and that would really help into it. So keep in touch. Second thing is that be very transparent to the customer, right? There are a lot of people as and when you grow as an organization, and this is something which culturally, I think my CEO in this organization is extremely transparent with his customers. That's something which I like, and even if there is something which you're not able to do, tell the customer, tell him the kind of an effort which you are putting in to resolve it. If there are roadblocks, speak about those roadblocks with the customer. So be very transparent. You say that you don't say that you will not be able to solve your problem, but if you're facing problems to it, communicate with the customer that you are facing issues. Sometimes what happens is that once you have a tendency that if you expose yourself, you are going to weaken your relationship with the customer. But believe me, in my last 2.5 decades, wherever I've gone back to the customer telling that there is an issue with me, there I have problems in this particular, how to resolve your issue, none of the customers ever asked me to leave the room. They have always said that, okay, sit down, let's work on to the how we can resolve. So be very transparent on it. Now there is something which is called a cultural sensitivity. So any business development guy, whomever you are speaking with, needs to understand, plan his call very well, needs to understand whom he is speaking with, what religion he comes from. Do not make any loose comment about any religion. Do not make loose comments about, there are people who are very sensitive about, let's say in Calcutta, people are very sensitive even for a East Bengal Mohun Bagan match also, right? So try not to bring up those discussions with your customer. People have a tendency that if somebody is from East Bengal, you try to align yourself saying that I am also from that, but that doesn't really be very effective. So transparency is the key. That I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you for the answer. I believe Shomadi's query has been resolved. So I'll pick up another comment from Aditi Malo. She's saying, "Hi, Shogata sir. Can you highlight a significant business development initiative that stands out as a turning point in your professional journey?" That's a nice question. Thank you, Aditi.
Yeah. Yeah, good question. I think Aditi, pretty intelligent question in that way. I have to take you a little bit into time. I used to work with an organization called SAP. So most of the people know SAP pretty well, and I used to manage a particular account, a large account called Chhattisgarh State Electricity Board, the first electricity board who had done an IT implementation way back in mid 2000s. Now, before that IT implementation, they used to work on pen and pencil, pen and papers, and all of those stuff. Now, we had started the implementation with the help of a partner, but there were a lot of problems in the implementation. Things were not going out pretty well. There were a lot of hindrance from the customer side, the partner saying that this is not under our contract, we will not do this. So there where we stepped in as an organization, we said that since this is one of the lighthouse customer of ours, let's put some effort for the next few. So what we did, just hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. What we did was, basically we took the initiative of untying the knots which were there, which were particularly were creating problems with the customer. And that point of time, we said that we will untie or not. So I brought in a lot of subject matter experts, lot of experts in the technology experts, and we sat down with the customer. We tell them that we lay down what are the problems which are there, and then we ask the partner also to lay down the problems which are there. It took us few months to resolve all the issues, but believe me, that lighthouse customer which was there brought us multiple times revenue for both SAP as well as the partner. And in the longer run, they were one of the most satisfying customers which were there. So in fact, in my career, so whatever incentives which I earned, by which I were able to pay all my EMIs, debts, etc. One of the customer who helped me do was that by giving me business after those activities which were there.
Okay. So transparency and empathy, and obviously a prompt response. The points you
Correct.
mentioned actually came, like has been, been the most significant initiative that helped your career as well. So
Hmm.
I would like to ask one more question about the communication style. Like your communication style basically, and how does it influence your approach to fostering collaborations with new businesses or existing businesses?
So, there are two ways of looking into it. One is that you get new business where lot of what we say, you use multiple communication strategy to deal with the customer, and you go, and there is one strategy which is there for the existing business, which is for the farming business which is there. Now, for the farming business, I'll come up touch upon that. That's the most important communication part of it. In the farming business, it's important that you do personalization of your communication, right? Use, understand the customer well whom you're writing or email. Think about it. What is the communication which is there? Whenever you talk with the customer, understand his priorities in his life, understand his priorities which is there, or understand his role within the organization. And you need to communicate effectively with the customer using a lot of personalization in your email, etc. Now, for the above, for the new customers, you need to use multiple communication channels. Now, you need to invite that customer to bring on to you, right? It's not always possible to tell them upfront what is their solution. It is that you have to imbibe, you have to, what I would say, bring him slowly to your fold, make him a little bit more, present, has a larger mind share. So use multiple communication, use emails, use chats, use send him information which is relevant to him. Try to understand what is the profile. Let's say somebody who is in a supply chain management inside our organization, in a line of business. You don't send him mails about financial packaging, or you don't send mails him onto, let's say, sales and distribution. If he's a supply chain guy, he would be more interested to understand what is there in the supply chain. Similarly, if somebody is there from the sales and marketing, tell him about CRM, tell him about what's happening in the CRM world, give him enough education material to slowly and steadily understand that these organizations understand my personality, and they will slowly come into play. So that's I try to, instead of going and bombarding the customer with the kind of solutions what we offer, we take an approach where we say, obviously, you take a lot of help from the OEMs who are there, like SAP, Oracle, IBM, AWS. Now, these people have their rich content which is there available with them over period of time. If you are working in an AWS environment, take help of AWS to create contents which will appeal to them. Don't and I know there is a tendency in a B2B market to send mass mailers, but in a B2C environment, you don't send mass mailers. You do personalization. Give that effort. You will see that the effort will actually work on pretty well.
So basically, that personal touch it does actually matter, and I believe the style and how to influence the customers definitely requires a lot of R&D behind it.
Hmm.
We'd like to take up another question from Shoja Nochkot. So Shoja is asking that do you tailor your communication style when interacting with culturally diversified customers? Thank you,
Absolutely.
Shoja, for the question.
Absolutely. I think the communication style, I have interacted with people in Hong Kong, China. I have interacted with people from Nordics, and
Okay.
we have a tendency to use complicated sentences. Right. And I'm talking about communication style in the style of when we are speaking with people. I'm not talking about, let's say writing a mail or something. Use use small sentences. Use sentences which do not have difficult words into it, and wait for people to understand. Just because we are good at English as an English speaking nation, we are good as an English speaking nation does not mean everybody in a culturally diversified environment knows how and understands English pretty well. So respect their culture. Second thing is that when you are visiting, let's say uh, Thailand, or let's say you're visiting, let's say Hong Kong, or you're visiting somewhere in Poland or in Nordics, understand the culture pretty well. There are smaller ticks which are there which can irritate a customer. There are places in the world where they don't like handshakes, or they would not like you to cross your legs and show their shoe towards them. So there are smaller aspects which one needs to learn. I have learned it very hard way. So my only suggestion to people is that when you're mixing with a multi-diversified culture, people learn what they like, what they dislike. Don't overdo over what they like, but don't do anything what they dislike. So that's what.
Yeah, that's the key point actually. So I believe Shoja's question has been answered. I would like to take up another comment from Sudeshna Ganguly. So Sudeshna is asking that do active listening skills contribute to successful communication in the business development process? Thank you, Sudeshna, for the question.
I actually, this is the first thing which I mentioned, right? In
Yeah.
the business development process, active listening is the most important skill for, and it's not only in your business development; it's there in your entire day-to-day life. So without active, if you don't keep your 2 ears open, your brain would not work, right? So you need to keep listening because, and there, the moment that we jump onto a lot of discussions with the customers, saying that without letting them complete or without asking them the correct questions, we get into the solutioning part, right? That's a practice which it as a natural, it comes as a natural to any of the sales and BD people to jump onto the solutioning part, but restrict yourself to give up a solution on the first call or the second call itself, right? Now,
I
it does not make a customer irritated that give him glimpses that you understand the problem, but never come up with the active. So you listen to him properly, process it properly, what he meant to say, and then you derive your response according to that.
I believe Sudeshna's question has been answered. So next question from my end is how do you build and maintain, which is actually the more critical part, maintain meaningful customer relationships? And do you also think that utilizing different communication channels is essential for effective instructions? You also have mentioned that it is important, but how and like how much essential it is basically.
So I touched upon both the aspects, like personalization for a customer is important. Another thing is that a strategy which I usually, maybe a little bit diverting from the question because I think it's important to have both part of it. You use multiple channels and you use personalization, which is there on your one-to-one activity. Another very important part of any business development is to understand the industry. So when you're talking with a customer, it's very important for him or her to speak the same language as what the business the entire customer is. Now, let's say you are today speaking with a customer in a utility, let's say a power utility customer. You don't go and talk about what you did in retail or what you did in let's say manufacturing. You talk about what you did in utilities and how you understand the meter to cash process. So before every call or before interacting with any of the customer, it's important to understand what industry they are, what are the key challenges which they are facing in the industry at that point of time, and what are the kind of trends which are following. So if you have these three things at your offhand, you will have meaningful discussions, and the customer will get imbibed into your and will communicate it further with you.
So actually, the background research is important, and to understand and connect to the customer is important. So I would like to take up another comment from Kumar Gaurav Bhumik. So he's saying that, hi sir, good afternoon. How important does customer relationship play in growing a healthy business relationship? Thank you, Kumar. Thank you, Gaurav, for the question.
Yeah, I think it's very important, right? Uh,
It is.
Customer, your business relationship is basically driven by people. Now, however, we say that, let's say Brainium is today going and servicing a particular customer. Now, it is not servicing the actually the organization is the entire the result of which is an servicing the organization, but actually you are interacting with human beings, right? And your customer relationship and your communication is very important to keep yeah, because in each and every organization, until and unless you have a coach or somebody who is actually promoting you inside the organization to get you business, it's very difficult for you to so it's very important for somebody if you want to create a business relationship with an organization, you need to know exactly who are the people who influence the various deals, and they should be on your side. So you have to culture that relationship with the customer. And it's not always, let's say, for an IT organization, our tendency is to go and speak with the CIO. It's not always important that you speak with the CIO and understand. CIO minus one, minus two, there are various levels within an organization, or CIO plus one, his manager. You need to understand the perspective of each and every people to understand. So when we do a major account planning, which we do maybe some other discussions where we can understand how we do major account planning, a large account planning, it's pretty important that if you want to keep a business relationship, your customer relationship has to be top notch. Otherwise, and each and every corner it has to be plugged in. Otherwise, you will never be able to do good business with the customer.
Absolutely. So I would like to sometimes whenever there is any query or like issue, when it is resolved, we actually sometimes stop following up with the customers. I want to know that how important do you think to do the follow up after actually an issue or any query has been resolved?
See, conflict resolution skills are important, right, for to run an organization, to for a for any kind of a business relationship. There are people who are trained within the organization to take up the conflict resolution, and they are the most unsung heroes inside the organization. Right? Might not be the business development or the sales people who usually tend to always take away the awards which are there in the annual events, but there are people who are there in the delivery, in the HR. There are people in the operations who actually do a lot of efforts which are going into doing a conflict resolution with the customer. Now, it's very important for somebody to follow up onto once the conflict has been resolved with the customer, because that's what where it goes and tells you that the you value the relationship with the customer. Once you are able to value the relationship with the customer understands that you value the relationship, they'll again come back to you. Otherwise, and I know a lot of people, in fact, in earlier part of my career, I used to avoid a lot of customers who were difficult customers for us. But let me tell you very frankly, there would be difficult customers, there will be pain, very painful in your daily activity, but ultimately they are the people who are going to give you the maximum business. So
Right.
because why they are painful? Because they think about their organization, right? They want to do the best for their organization, and that's the reason why we should always follow up with.
Absolutely. So I'd like to take up another comment from Shwetabjo Das. He's asking that what is your thought on CRM tools for effective communication? Thank you, Shwetabjo, for the question.
Yeah, I think, see, uh, I personally feel that sales hygiene is a very important factor in any organization, which is very similar to your HR hygiene as well as your operations hygiene. Now, salespeople are do not effectively use CRM tools. That I have seen most of the people do not effectively use. Uh, Now, CRM and why, and this is a cultural thing. This is, and this is most likely if you see people who are working in the US or in the developed part of the countries, they understand the use of the importance of CRM for effective communication. And in our part of the world where it's very relationship driven, very much, most of the things are there in the head of the BD guy, people do not effectively use it. But it's always essential that you use CRM very effectively. There are insights which you are able to get from a customer's perspective about their buying patterns, their browsing patterns, their technology patterns, and there are so much of things which you can do in the CRM. You can predict what is there in your business, which is going to there with the customer. And I'll tell you a small example is that there are a lot of customers. We, as an organization, we serve about 500 customers in the SMB segment, and each and every SMB customer has a digital journey which is going on. Right, you start from a certain point and then move to a certain point. If you are able to keep hygiene into your CRM environment, you can actually understand that what is going to be the buying pattern of the one set of customers which are going to happen in the next 6 month point of time. That can only happen if you have the correct information of the customer, the correct, you are capturing everything in their digital journey, and then you can be able to do it. If you're not able to do it, garbage in is equal to garbage out. So, be serious onto the CRM part of it.
I think that is something very, very insightful, information I would say you have given away basically. And I think it's all very important for all the sales and marketing people. Now a lot of things about past, a lot of things about present. Now I would like to ask a question about the future, how you envision it, and how you envision the future for especially effective communication and customer relationships, especially in the IT industry. How will it be evolving, and how do you see yourself playing the role in it?
Yeah, so I'll tell you very frankly that in this entire IT maturity journey which is happening with the customers, 15 years back, customers used to come back to IT companies for understanding, for knowledge, to understand that what is the effective strategy to implement. It is no more that way, right? Until and unless there is a vast requirement, most of the CIOs, CTOs, and even the IT managers are well equipped enough to understand what is going on into the. Now, the only thing which is going to bring us is the differentiation which you are going to bring to the customer. Until unless you bring differentiation to the customer, if you are a digital marketing company, if you're talking about LinkedIn post, if you're talking about effectively creating some of the webinars, etc., do you think that the customer doesn't know about it? Now you have to go a little bit further and tell them that how are you going to enrich his business, or how are you going to increase his business pie, which is there with the customer. So insights about the industry is very important, which is there. And going into the future, the creation of products, creation of services, which are there. The most of the customers would like to have ease of his work, right? They would not like to, get into too many complications, etc. The more easier you make a customer work and enhance his business, you have to build around your solutions, you have to build around your products around that. That would be, I think that's the way forward. Yeah.
That's very true actually. You have to make the life easier for your customer. I mean, people actually are looking for that, and so, one advice you want to give to the audience. Okay, I'm so sorry. I need to take up one last comment from Mr. Dev Dutt. So, Dev Dutt is asking, good afternoon, sir. Considering today's competitive industry, what leadership qualities do you believe most important it is to have in an organization's business leader? So he's asking what leadership quality is most important to become a business leader in an organization. That's a nice question. Thank you, Devdas.
Yeah. So, Dave, I think, for any of the business leader, uh, IT organizations especially, like we were talking about IT organizations, then it is something different if it's a manufacturing, but let's say in an IT environment, your business as usual happens with about your people, right? It's about how the people are working inside your environment. There are two things which people actually require from the business leader. One is the vision, which is there, where his organization is going, how the organization is growing. If you're working in a smaller organization, you have to give them the larger vision that what's going on into 5 years, how things are moving inside the organizations, what are your plans which are there. You have to be very transparent, not to get into the entire business plan, but you have to share with the entire people. Second is obviously you have to treat it as a military family. When I say a military family, it's not a family where you have chachas and mamas who are there and they would come with their own. It's a military organization. Everybody inside the organization should know actually what they are supposed to do in the organization. Once everybody knows what they are supposed to do in the organization, there are various walls which are built upon due to that ambiguity, and that's where politics starts into getting it. So as a business leader, the most effective way is to break those walls which are there, which are the political walls inside the organization, the interdepartmental politics which goes on. We have to break upon the walls and make it in a more collaborative environment. And third thing is that rewards and recognition is very important for any of these. That brings a certain amount of competitiveness inside the people, but it is always essential that you recognize people who are doing good work, but also you give rewards to have done excellent work. You don't give rewards to people who have been doing work which have been asked to do, or which have been which are the mundane activities which are there. So I think as a business leader, you have to run your as a military family. Everybody should know it, and you have to keep the fostering the collaboration over there. And you see where people are fighting about each other. You just can't be a blind eye to whatever problems is there.
I think it's important that everybody sees the higher goal, like should have one goal and aim. I think that can, rise above the interdepartmental politics. So, one last question from my end is one advice, you would like to give to the aspiring professionals who are trying to create, who are dwelling into the communication strategy and trying to excel in their business development and customer relationship roles.
Yeah. So customer is God. That's a very cliche way of saying things. But don't go and pray with them. Don't ask for favors, but work for them. So obviously you can't go back to a customer begging for orders. You have to create a situation where they will come and give business to you. Second thing is that obviously do your homework pretty well. Don't go to a client, don't go to a customer, without preparation, without doing an activity. I know there are maverick BD guys there in the market who can take up, questions on the fly, who can take up, but there is nothing more better than preparing yourself. Second thing, effectively use your multiple channels which you are able to do in your organization. Use your CRM well, use your account-based marketing strategies well, use your marketing tools pretty well to understand what is going, and top of it all, understand the business of the customer. If you don't understand the business of the customer, you will never be able to do business with them.
That's a very nice and precise advice which you have actually given. And it was really, really nice speaking to you. Honestly, the points you mentioned and the advice you gave, and your whole journey was very fulfilling and very aspiring for all of us hearing you, and especially for me because it was so nice interacting with you, Mr. Mitra, today. And we're extremely grateful once again that you could take out your time and you could enlighten us, speak to us, and also, like let us know how important effective communication has been and how it will be in the future as well. So,
Yeah,
and we
sure.
wish you a lot of luck, a lot of best wishes on your entrepreneurial journey in the coming days. Would you like to say something, Mr. Mitra?
No, I think it's a good opportunity to interact. I think virtually, obviously, we have been interacting. I know a couple of people inside your organization. I would certainly make it a day that maybe I'll come down to your office, maybe speak with the other
Definitely,
people,
definitely,
try to
definitely,
understand what is better to do.
Yeah, Mr. Mitra, you're always welcome.
Sure.
And yeah, okay, and
Yeah.
that again, a lot of thanks and a lot of best wishes to you.
Yeah. Same to you, Shreyashi. All the best.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. So that was Mr. Sougata Mitra, and it was so nice speaking to him. His advice and his, whatever the way he answered the questions were so precise and so, on the point. And thank you for joining us on this eye-opening session of Unfiltered Chat. I would like to remind all of you that Brainium Information Technologies has started Brainium Academy, through which you can become a software developer, a digital marketing expert, an application developer. Also, if you want to start your journey into the coding and start a web development or application development course, please enroll with us. please contact us with 8100737706. We are also going up with the offer in the coming Women's Day on 8th March. We are availing a 10% extra discount on the already prevailing discount rate. And as I always say that let's keep the conversation alive. Let's also, please comment on the any other points you can mention on effective communication and customer relationship. We would love to hear from you. Until then, till the next live, bye bye and take care.